still remember that old front porch, the worn-out swing, the creaking boards, and my father sitting quietly there, watching another sunset fall. His hands were rough from years of work, a lifetime written in the dirt. He never spoke much about himself, just carried the weight alone. Back then I thought there'd always be tomorrow, another visit, another borrowed hour. I never imagined time was already slipping through our hands. And now I'd trade every dollar I own for one more evening back at home, just to sit beside him again, like I should have done more often. The last time I saw him standing there, silver in his thinning hair, I hugged him quickly, said goodbye, like it was any ordinary day. Neither of us knew what was coming, neither of us heard the clock running toward a moment that would leave a hole inside my soul. And ever since that morning came, I've carried this quiet pain, because grief isn't only missing someone, it's missing what you didn't do, the words you thought could wait, the moments you failed to take, the embrace that should have lasted just a little longer. Nobody tells you the ordinary moments will someday become priceless. I wish I hugged my father one more time, held on a little longer before goodbye. Every memory, every scar still carries the shape of his heart. I wish I hugged my father one more time before heaven called him from this life, because some regrets never leave, they just learn how to live with you. Now I see him in the little things, old country songs and wedding rings, a dusty jacket hanging in a closet that nobody has moved. I hear his voice in my own sometimes, giving advice I once ignored. Funny how wisdom grows louder after the one who spoke it is gone. And if there's one thing I have learned from every bridge life has burned, it's to hold your people while you can, before time makes the choice for you. Because someday all that's left will be photographs and deep regrets and prayers whispered into silence for one more chance that never comes. If heaven gives fathers windows, I hope somehow you can see me now. I tell you thank you, I tell you I understand, and I'd hug you longer this time. I wish I hugged my father one more time before the years became memories in my mind. Every lonely, sleepless night still reaches for that final goodbye. I wish I hugged my father one more time before God called you into the light. won't let go so fast. I wish I hugged my father one more time, one more time. I love you, Dad. I should have said it more. Wait for me. The family gathered one more year, the same old house, the same old cheer. Children laughing down the hall like they always did before. The candles glowed, the coffee brewed, stories old and stories new. For a moment everything felt almost like it used to be. But then my eyes drifted across the room toward a corner wrapped in silence, and suddenly my heart remembered someone wasn't coming home. The birthday cake was on the table, the photographs still lined the walls, but one chair sat untouched all night and changed the whole room somehow. Nobody mentioned your name at first. Maybe we were afraid it would hurt, or maybe grief had taught us all how to smile through missing you. Your favorite cup stayed in the cabinet, your old coat still hung where you left it. Funny how ordinary things become sacred after loss. I watched the grandchildren blow out candles while memories flickered in my mind of birthdays when you stood beside me, laughing louder than everyone else. And for a second I could almost hear you, somewhere between the voices and the music, like love was still walking quietly through the rooms you once filled. Nobody sat there, but somehow your presence never left. The birthday chair stayed empty, but my heart was full of you. Every memory, every scar still carried your light through the dark. The birthday chair stayed empty while we sang and smiled without you. And somehow missing someone this much never gets easier with time. As the evening slowly faded and guests began heading home again, I sat alone beside that chair long after everyone had gone, thinking about all the birthdays shared, the little moments that seemed so ordinary then, never knowing one day I'd give anything to live one of them again. I guess grief changes over time. It grows quieter but never dies. It learns to sit beside you gently in places love once lived. And some people leave this world but never leave the rooms they touched, because real love lingers long after the goodbye has been spoken. If heaven celebrates birthdays, I hope they're singing for you tonight. I hope you're smiling I hope you know we still save a place for you. The birthday chair stayed empty, but your love still filled the room completely. Every lonely passing year still feels different without you here. The birthday chair stayed empty, yet somehow you were everywhere tonight. In every laugh, every tear, every memory we hold dear. The birthday chair stayed empty, but you'll always have a seat in this family. Happy birthday, wherever you are. We still miss you. I spent my whole life trying to be strong, holding everything together for so long. Through unpaid bills and sleepless nights and worries I never shared, I was the man people leaned on, the one who stayed when things went wrong, the one who said we'll be alright, even when I wasn't sure. I carried burdens quietly, locked away where nobody could see, because somewhere along the way I learned strong men don't cry. So I kept moving, kept working hard, even when life left its marks, and every scar beneath this skin became another thing I hid. I miss birthdays chasing overtime, miss sunsets trying to survive, always believing one more year would finally make things easier. But time has a way of slipping past while you're busy carrying the weight of the world, and suddenly the children grow up and the mirror shows an older man. Now these hands aren't what they used to be, and these tired knees remind me that strength was never meant to me, carrying everything alone. I wish I learned that sooner, before the years became fewer, before I spent so much of life trying not to break. Maybe being strong was never about hiding pain. Maybe it was about surviving it. I spent my whole life trying to be strong, holding on when everything felt wrong. Every fear, every scar still lives somewhere inside my heart. I spent my whole life trying to be strong. Now I wonder where the years have gone, because sometimes the strongest souls are the loneliest ones. There were nights outside alone, long after everyone got home, staring at the dark in silence, wondering how much more I could carry. But every morning came again, and I put the strength meant carrying the world. Now I think strength means holding the people you love before time takes them away. I spent my whole life trying to be strong, through every winter, every storm, every lonely, painful year. Still somehow brought me here. I spent my whole life trying to be strong, and maybe I got some things wrong, but I love the people in my life with everything I had inside. I spent my whole life trying to be strong, and tonight I'm finally tired enough to admit it. I was strong, I was sometimes. I was scared too. I brought him home so many years ago, just a restless pup with nowhere else to go. He fit inside my arms back then, before the gray touched both of us. Through every season of my life, the good years and the sleepless nights, he was always somewhere close, quietly watching over me. When the children moved away and the house grew still with age, his footsteps filled the empty rooms like he knew I needed company. He never cared about my mistakes, never judged the roads I chose to take. He only cared that I came home at the end of every day. Every evening by the door, he'd wait the way he had before, ears alert at every sound, hoping I'd be walking in. And when life left me tired and worn, after another difficult storm, he'd rest his head against my hand, like he understood somehow. There were days when nobody called, days I felt forgotten by the world, but I was never truly alone, as long as he was there. Funny how a loyal heart can mend the deepest broken parts without ever speaking a word, not even once. Some friends stay for a season, some stay for a lifetime. He stayed for both. My dog waited by the door until the end, like he believed I'd walk through it again. Every year, every scar, he loved me exactly as I was. My dog waited by the door until the end, the truest friend I've ever had. And when the world felt cold and dark, he was the light beside my heart. The years moved faster than I knew. His muzzle slowly turned silver too, and getting up became harder than it used to be. But still he'd drag himself somehow to greet me when I came around, his tail still wagging through the pain, just happy I was home. Then came the day I feared the most, sitting beside him, holding close, trying to be brave enough to say goodbye. I thanked him for every mile, every comfort, every smile, and every lonely night he stayed when nobody else did. If heaven has open fields and endless sunny afternoons, I know you're running there now, young again, free again, waiting for me. My dog waited by the door until the end. Through every road life made me walk within. Every memory, every tear still brings your faithful spirit near. My dog waited by the door until the end, and I'd relive every moment again, because some souls leave paw prints behind that time can never erase. My dog waited by the door until the end, and part of my heart went with him. Good boy, you were always a good boy. Wait for me one more time. I still remember teaching him to ride, running beside that little bike, watching those shaky wheels find balance on a summer afternoon. His hand used to fit inside mine, back when the world seemed small and kind, and every problem he encountered could be solved by his old man. He'd ask 100 questions a day about the stars and why it rained, and somehow I believe those days would last forever somehow. The time kept moving while I blinked, the years disappeared before I could think, and that little boy I used to carry started carrying himself. I watched him stumble, watched him fall, through broken dreams and hard phone calls, moments when life taught lessons I couldn't teach for him. There were nights he sat defeated, wondering if he'd ever make it, and all I could do was sit beside him and tell him not to quit. Then one day I saw something different, a quiet strength I'd never witnessed, not the strength of never breaking, but the strength of getting back up. Stay same moment can feel. The day my son became a man, I saw life moving through God's hands. Every wound, every scar helped shape the person that you are. The day my son became a man, I finally started to understand my job was never holding on forever. It was teaching you to stand. Now when we talk, it's different somehow. He gives advice to me now, and sometimes I hear my own words coming back through him. He's building dreams with his own hands, making choices, making plans, carving out a life that belongs to the man he's become. And though I miss the little boy running through the house making noise, I wouldn't trade this moment now for anything in the world. Because every father secretly hopes his children become stronger than he was. And standing here today, I know I've been blessed. If I leave before you someday, don't spend too much time looking back. Keep building, keep loving, keep becoming the man I already see. The day my son became a man, I saw my prayers begin to stand. Every sleepless night, every fear was worth the journey getting here. The day my son became a man, his old heart finally understood the plan. Little boys aren't ours forever, they're only borrowed for a while. The day my son became a man was one of the proudest days of my life. I'm proud of you, son, more than you'll ever know. Keep going. Keep going. For years I carried your name like a stone inside my chest. Every memory became heavier the longer I held on to the hurt. I replayed every argument, every word we both regretted, convincing myself I was right while losing pieces of myself. People told me time would heal it, but time only made it quieter. The anger learned how to whisper instead of shout. And somewhere deep beneath the pain, there was still love I couldn't explain, buried underneath the pride neither of us could put aside. Thought there'd be another chance, another conversation, another circumstance, another day to finally say, let's stop fighting this war. But life doesn't always wait for hearts to get things straight. Sometimes the ending arrives before the healing does. Then one cold morning came, and suddenly everything changed. The phone call I never wanted became the one I received. And standing there in silence, nothing seemed important anymore. Not who was wrong, not who was right, only what would never be said. The strange how death can silence the arguments we thought mattered. I forgave you too late, after heaven had already closed the gate. Every wound, every scar suddenly seems so small from where you are. I forgave you too late, when there was no more time left to save. And now I trade every ounce of pride for one more chance to make things right. So if there's someone you're still angry with, someone you've almost stopped speaking to, don't wait for the years to disappear the way I did. Because life is shorter than we think, and goodbye arrives faster than we believe. One ordinary day becomes the last without asking permission. I learned forgiveness isn't weakness, it's one of the strongest things we do. It frees the heart from carrying what love was never meant to hold. And though I still miss you now, there is peace somehow, knowing the bitterness finally ended, even if it came too late. If heaven lets you hear me, I hope you know I understand now. I forgive you, and I hope somehow you forgave me too. I forgave you too late, but at least I didn't carry it to my grave. Every lonely, sleepless night still wishes for one more chance to say goodbye. I forgave you too late, after fate had already made its choice. But maybe love still finds a way beyond the silence we leave behind. I forgave you too late, and that's a lesson I'll carry forever. I forgive you, I forgive myself. Goodbye, old friend. I found an old box in the attic, covered in dust and years gone by. Photographs, faded postcards, pieces of another life. And buried underneath it all was an envelope I knew too well. yellowed by time, unopened still, a letter I never sent. I held it in these shaking hands, reading words from a younger man, a man who still believed love could survive anything. Back then I thought there'd be more time, another chance to make things right. But life kept moving faster than the courage inside me could grow. You were the love I never forgot, the chapter my heart never closed. Even after all these years, your memory still knows my name. I heard you married someone else, built a life somewhere far away. And honestly, I hoped you found everything I couldn't give. But there were nights I wondered still if you ever thought about me too. If somewhere deep inside your heart a small piece of us survived, and every word inside that letter carried all the things I never said. The apologies, the hopes, the dreams I kept locked away instead. Funny how silence can change the course of a lifetime. The last letter I never sent still carries everything I meant. Every dream, every scar still echoes from where you are. The last letter I never sent became a ghost of what might have been. And some roads stay unfinished no matter how many years go by. Now I'm older than my father was when I first thought I understood love. And I've learned regret isn't loud, it's quiet and patient. It waits inside forgotten drawers, behind old photographs and closed doors, until one ordinary afternoon it asks to be remembered again. If I could speak to that younger man, I'd tell him not to wait so long, because pride steals more from us than heartbreak ever could. And if I had one chance again, that letter would have left my hands before fear convinced me to keep my feelings hidden. Maybe you would have written back, maybe you wouldn't have, but at least I would have known. Instead of wondering for the rest of my life, the last letter I never sent still feels heavier than it should. Every lonely passing year still carries your memory near. The last letter I never sent reminds me how fragile life can get, because sometimes the biggest regrets are the chances we never take. The last letter I never sent still has your name on it. I should have mailed it, I should have told you goodbye, my almost forever. I've walked through valleys dark enough to make a strong man lose his trust. There were nights I stared at heaven, wondering if anyone was there. I buried people that I loved, watched dreams turn slowly into dust, and carried questions in my heart that never seemed to leave. There were mornings I got out of bed with more fear than hope inside my chest. Still somehow I found the strength to take another step. Back then I called it survival, just doing what I had to do. But looking back across the years, maybe there's something more. Because there were doors that should have closed, and roads I never should have survived alone. Moments when I nearly broke apart, yet somehow didn't. There were strangers who appeared in time, a helping hand, a simple sign, the right words spoken on the day I needed them the most. And when I thought I had no faith left, some small light remained inside my chest, refusing to go out completely, no matter how hard life blew. Now I wonder if that light was you, quietly carrying me through all those years I couldn't see what you were doing. Maybe miracles aren't always loud. Maybe sometimes they're the reason we kept going. Maybe God was carrying me all along. Through every night I thought I wasn't strong. Every fear, every scar, you were closer than I knew you were. Maybe God was carrying me all along, even when my faith was almost gone. And every road that led me here was guided by hands I couldn't see. Now these old years have taught me things, the kind that only suffering brings, like how grace often arrives quietly, without demanding attention. And maybe prayers aren't always answered the way we hope or understand them, but maybe unanswered prayers too are part of a bigger plan. I still don't know every reason why some people stay and some say goodbye, but I know I've been carried farther than my strength alone could take me. And if tomorrow brings another storm, I'll face it differently than before, 'cause now I know who walks beside me, even when the path grows dark. I used to ask, where were you? Now I ask, how many times did you save me without me even knowing? Maybe God was carrying me all along. Through every battle I thought I fought alone, every lonely, painful year, you were standing somewhere near. Maybe God was carrying me all along. maybe you were the reason why. Maybe God was carrying me all along, and I was never truly alone. Thank you, Lord, for the times I never saw, the times you carried me when I couldn't carry myself. It was hidden in an old wooden drawer, one I hadn't opened in years before, tucked beneath faded photographs and birthday cards she'd saved. The sunlight caught a little gold, and suddenly my heart grew old, because there it was resting quietly, her wedding ring. I picked it up with trembling hands, like I was holding time again. And for a moment the whole room disappeared into another life. Back when her laughter filled these walls, back when her footsteps crossed the hall, back when forever seemed like something we'd always have. I remember the day I placed it there, young and nervous, standing scared, promising things I barely understood, but meant with all my heart. We built a life from almost nothing, a small house and hopeful dreaming, and somehow love kept showing up, even when money didn't. We had our fights, we had our scars, we lost our way and found our way back. And through every season of the years, that ring stayed on her hand. Funny how one little circle of gold can carry a lifetime in its soul, more memories than words could ever hold, inside something so small. I wasn't ready for how much one ring could hurt. I found her wedding ring after she was gone, and suddenly every memory came rushing on. Every smile, every tear, every precious passing year. I found her wedding ring after she was gone, and for a moment she didn't feel so far gone, because love leaves pieces behind that time can never take away. Now the house grows quiet earlier, the evenings feel a little heavier, and sometimes I still turn around, expecting her to be there. There are stories I still want to tell, little things she'd know so well, moments that still make me reach for someone who isn't there. But holding that ring inside my palm brought a strange and gentle calm, like love was whispering softly, I'm still part of you. And maybe that's what marriage becomes after one of the hearts is gone. Not an ending, but 1,000 memories still walking beside you. heaven has a window tonight, I hope you're smiling, because I still wear the love you gave me all those years ago, even without the ring. I found her wedding ring after she was gone, and realized true love never really moves on. Every lonely, sleepless night still carries traces of her light. I found her wedding ring after she was gone, and though the years keep moving on, some promises outlive goodbye. Some love outlives time. I found her wedding ring after she was gone, and somehow I found her again. I still miss you every day, and I still wear your love right here in my heart. I've walked a long and winding road, carried burdens, carried hope, watched the seasons come and go, more times than I can count. I've stood beside hospital beds, whispered painful last goodbyes, buried pieces of my heart with people I could not keep. There were years I thought would break me, moments life completely shook me, days I wondered if tomorrow would ever feel alright again. But somehow here I am tonight, looking back across this life and seeing beauty hidden between the cracks of pain. I remember holding my children when they were still small enough to fall asleep upon my chest without a single fear. I remember my father's laughter, my mother's voice from the kitchen, the smell of coffee in the morning and old songs on the radio. I remember the woman I loved, the way she looked at me sometimes, like she could see the better man I was trying hard to become. And though so many of those moments now live only in memory, they still feel more valuable than anything I ever owned. Maybe a good life isn't a life without pain. Maybe it's a life that was worth the pain. If heaven lets me choose again, I'd choose this life from start to end. Every joy, every scar, every road that brought me where I are. If heaven lets me choose again, I'd love the same people all over again. 'Cause even heartbreak leaves behind proof that something beautiful was mine. Would I change some things? Of course I would. Say I love you more than I should. Hold on longer when it mattered. Forgive a little faster too. I'd spend less time chasing tomorrow and more time sitting on the porch, watching sunsets with the people who made life feel like home. But even with the regrets I carry and the tears that still visit me, I wouldn't trade this journey for a safer one without love. Because pain was never the enemy, indifference was the greater tragedy. And I was lucky enough to care, lucky enough to love deeply. If this is the last chapter, then let it be said. I lived, I failed, I loved, and I was loved. If heaven lets me choose again, I'd walk these roads through sun and rain. Every lonely, painful year still led me to the people I held dear. Hold the same hearts close to mine, for every precious borrowed time. If heaven lets me choose again, I'd choose this life every single time. Thank you for the love